workplaces have to be clean and orderly. Nothing can be wet, and when it is, it must have a drainage system. The workplace must be free of anything that could be a danger to your employees, like sharp, slippery, or chemical things. The workspace must be able to handle the weight it will have on it, as having an employee fall through the floor, sadly, isn't acceptable. The workplace must be regularly inspected and checked that they follow the previous rules, and if they aren't, that they get fixed properly and quickly. If it's unable to be fixed immediately, it has to be guarded against your average idiot employee. Ladder steps have to be parallel, level, and spaced evenly when being used. The steps have to be at least 10 inches away from each other but less than 14 inches apart. In ladders, the steps have to be larger than 16 inches but less than 16.5 inches. Ladders that are built-in have to have their steps no more than 18 inches apart. On steps and step stools, the steps cannot be any more than 12 inches apart and any less than 8 inches apart. On portable ladders, the steps must be between 11.5 inches and 16 inches. This does not apply to ladders that are not meant to be stepped on, like orchard ladders. Rungs and manholes have to be at least 9 inches apart. Rolling ladders have to have their steps 8 inches apart. Wooden ladders cannot be coated in anything that may ruin their structure. Metal ladders have to be corrosion resistant. All ladders have to be safe. Nothing you can stab or cut anyone with. Ladders have to be used as ladders, and, honestly, it's kind of disappointing that we have to mention that, as I do believe your employees are not for. Ladders that are unable to be used have to be tagged so and fixed as quickly as possible. Employees have to face the ladder and grasp it with at least one hand when climbing it, and not carry anything that could cause them to lose their balance.
Portable ladders must be made out of metal to have texture, coated with slip-resistant material to make sure no one slips and bashes their head open on a nice, clean workplace floor, and covered in gross minimum wage blood. It has to be chunks of their brain. Step ladders must have a way to lock when in use so they don't have to close on somebody. They can't be used to hold past their maximum load and can't have a single rail. Don't move a ladder while an employee is on it unless you're trying to murder them. Ladders in doorways, driveways, hallways, etc. must have to be secured in place to keep it from moving or be guarded by someone like traffic cones or caution tape. But the top step of the ladder is not a step. Don't step on it. The ladders that cannot support themselves have to be placed where both sides are supported and extended at least 3 feet above the place you're attempting to get to. Fixed ladders must be capable of holding your maximum load. Side rails have to be 42 inches above the steps and 24 to 30 inches apart. Ladders have to be 16 inches wide. Mobile ladders and platform stands are 4 feet tall. Max height to work on ladder is not more than 4 times the base dimension. Mobile ladders must have wheels that can stop horizontal movement and don't move at all when an employee is on them.
The employer must ensure that each walking working surface can support the maximum intended load for that surface. Step bolts have to be corrosion resistant and constructed to prevent slipping. Bolts are 12 to 18 inches apart and 4.5 inches wide. Bolts have to support 4x their maximum intended load. Any bolt that is bent more than 15 degrees from the perpendicular direction is removed and replaced with a proper one.
Manholes must be textured to prevent slipping and can support their maximum load, and are corrosive resistant.
Any clearance above the stair space has to be 6 feet and 8 inches of room. Each stair is the same height. Stairs are at least 30 inches tall. Each stair should support at least 5x the anticipated load, but never less than a concentrated load of 1,000 pounds. Street stairs are for regular everyday access from workspace to workspace.
Dockboards must be able to support the maximum intended load. They must be constructed to prevent vehicles from running over the edge of the dockboard. Dockboards are anchored in place so they don't have to move from a safe position.
Before ropes are installed, the building owner must have written information for the employer that the building owner has tested, certified, and maintained each anchorage so it can support at least 5,000 pounds in any direction and be tested annually. No rope can be used for heights more than 3,000 feet unless you are unable to reach those heights with anything else. The rope is used in accordance with instructions and warnings set by the manufacturer. Each employee who uses the rope must be trained to do so. The rope is protected so that it cannot be cut or weakened. No employee should use the rope in hazardous weather. Tools and equipment are secured in a tool lanyard or bag to prevent them from falling. The rope must be protected from flames, corrosives, and destructive conditions.
When a walking working surface is 4 feet or more off the ground, the edges of the surface must have some sort of safety measure. These can include guardrails and fall protection safety systems. If there is no way to ensure that it works in dangerous areas like on a dock, there must be an employees only sign on the corresponding door, and only allow trained employees to enter. Hoist areas have to be protected from falling 4 feet or more by guardrails, personal fall arrest systems, or a travel restraint system. When any part of a guardrail system is removed and an employee must lean over an edge to access the hoisting system, the employee is protected by a personal fall arrest system. Every employee has to be protected from falling through a hole that is more than 4 feet above a lower level by covers, guardrails, travel restraints, or personal fall arrest systems. Holes, stairways, dockboards, runways, and ladderways are protected by guardrails. Chutes are covered by a hinged floor hole or a guardrail system that leaves only one exposed side and is closed when not in use. Runways must be at least 18 inches wide and each employee is provided with a personal fall arrest or travel restraint system. In repair or service pits less than 10 feet deep, fall protection systems are not required, but floor markings are at least 6 feet away and caution signs are. Ladders that extend more than 24 feet must have a fall protection system, and rest intervals at a maximum of 150 feet. Employees using the ladder must be trained and have a body harness. They must keep their hands free while climbing. When an employee is exposed to a potential fall hazard, the employee must be trained to use fall protection systems. The training has to be from a qualified person who has experience in that field. They must be trained to properly place and secure a dockboard, and how to use a rope descent system, in any designated area that needs proper setup and use. The employee must be retrained, if they do not show the understanding and skill required.
Guardrails. Guardrails have to be 39 to 45 inches tall. Midrails, screens, mesh, or solid panels can be installed when the guardrail is not against a wall. Midrails cannot be any more than 19 inches apart and have to withstand 2,000 pounds downward or outward. Guardrails are smooth, with nothing that could cut someone or catch on clothing. Rails are at least 0.25 inches thick. When guardrails are removable, the employer may use chains or gates instead of the guardrail, but the employer must demonstrate that the chains are just as safe as a guardrail. In designated areas, it is lined with something with a minimum breaking strength of 200 pounds and is installed so that its lowest point is 34 to 39 inches above the floor. The warning line must be visible from 25 feet away. Finger clearances are at least 2.25 inches, and the handrail itself must have a shape and dimension that employees can grasp.